Absolute values, tutorial 1. Today we would like to discuss about absolute values. What is absolute value? Let's say this is your number line and you are right at the origin. If you move to the point -4, and then you move to the point 40 to the right, both distance are 4. Thus we can write absolute value of -4 is equal to 4, and absolute value of 4 is also equal to 4. So it's like the distance. You can write the definition for absolute values like this form or this form. These are the properties of absolute values. Let's go straight to the examples. Example 1 of absolute values. Solve the following equations. To solve this question, we have to use the definition that I've mentioned just now, which is this one. So from here, we can just divide this into two parts, positive value and also a negative value. And in the middle, you just write the word OR, question B. Also the same thing, just copy the left hand side and then the right hand side, but the other equation we have to change the right hand side and write negative in front of the right hand side and write OR in the middle. So to apply this formula, you have to make sure on the left hand side there's only the absolute signs, which is the vertical lines on the left side. If not, you have to bring everything else to the right. Remember to leave only the absolute values or the expression with the vertical bars on the left side. How to bring 7 to the right side? This is positive 7, so bring it to the right. You get 4 minus 7. On the right side, you get the value -3. But you still have -3 in front of the absolute value. So to move this -3 to the right, since the operation in the middle between these two is just multiplication, so when you want to bring it to the right, you have to divide with -3. So the answer on the right is 1, and you have only the vertical bars on the left side. Only now you can use the definition. So one side is this exactly the same as the one that you have got. The other one, you just have to put a negative sign right on the right side. So here you get x equal to 5 and then x equal to 3 with an OR sign in the middle. For this question, there's modulus, there's this vertical bars with a number 2/3 in front. Remember, to use this formula, you have to make sure there's only this vertical bars or the absolute expression on the left side. That means we have to bring this 2/3 to the right side. The operation between them is multiplication. So when you bring it to the right, you have to divide with 2/3. That means you just have to flip this fraction, and since this is 6, 6 is over 1, multiply above with above, below with below, 18 over 2, then you get 9. Okay, now there's only the absolute value on the left side. Now we can apply the formula, which is x equal to 9 and x equal to -9. Right in the middle, write OR. That's your answer. Example 2a. Now we have x both on the left and right of the equations, but there's still only one expression with absolute value on the left side. That means we can still use this definition. So to apply that definition, just separate into two equations. One is positive equation, another one is a negative equation. Make sure it's negative for everything on the right side. So to make sure that you don't do any careless mistakes, write a negative and then a big bracket for everything that's on the right side. Next, you just have to expand. Yeah, don't forget to write or in the middle. And then solve this, bring 4 to the right. Okay, then keep on solving until you have only x on the left side. Do the same thing for the other equation. Okay, solve until you get the value of x, and then do the same thing for the other equation. Right, once you have the values of x for both equations, remember your last step is to check. Why is it for example 1 we did not check our answers? Well, that's because on the right side it's just a number. There's no x here, there's no other unknown. That's why for example 2, A and B we have to check, because both left and right side we have the x value, and there's only one absolute signs on the left side. This pattern, this type of question is where we have to check your answers, because it doesn't necessarily satisfy for both answers. Let's check. So how to check? Just substitute in your x value into the original question. Do not substitute it into the equations that we have separated. Make sure left and right side is equal. Since absolute of 3 is equal to 3, so x equal to -1 is correct. Try -2. On the right side we get -2, and on the left side we get a +2 absolute. And from here 2 is not, since absolute of 2 is equal to 2, take it outside of the vertical bars, and this is not equal to -2. So we reject this value, and our final answer is just x equal to -2. Example 3, we have absolute signs both on the left and right side of the equation. For this pattern of question, we don't have to check. Right, the easiest way to solve this question is you can square both sides, but I prefer to just separate it, like what you did in example 2. Separate into two inequalities, and on the right side put a negative right in front of the expression of the right side. Solve everything, expand, open the bracket, and then solve this. If you have noticed, 3a question is exactly the same. 3a question is similar to 2a question, but 2a does not have the vertical bars on the right side. So the values that we get after we have separated will be the same. X equal to -2 for this right equation, and then x equal to -1 for the left equation. Lastly, don't forget to write or in the middle. Now we have two answers for x. In example 2a, this pattern of question, we have to check the answers. But in example 3a, we don't have to check the answers, because now we have the absolute value both on the left and right side. If you check, you will always get the answers as correct. So to save your time, you don't have to check for this type of question. Right, so moving on to example 2b that I have left out just now. You have to apply this formula or definition. You have to apply this definition. And to apply that definition, just separate this into two equations. On the right side of the equation, make sure you have the negative sign for everything on the right side. Expand your brackets and then solve until you get the value of x. Do the same thing for the other equation. Once you get the values of this x, remember, when there's no absolute signs both on the left and right of the equation, you have to check your answer. But let's say we have the modulus sign or the absolute signs both on the left and right side of the equation, then you don't have to check. And to check, just substitute the x's into the original question. Now, on the left side, we have the absolute of -13, and on the right side is -13. So are they equal? Well, the numbers looks like they are equal, but remember, from the definition, this absolute of negative 13 is equal to positive 13. And is positive 13 equal to negative 13? No, it's not equal. So that's why we reject this value of negative 6. Next, check the other x, which is positive 1 over 2, and substitute into the original question. After calculating, we have found that on the left side, we get absolute of 13 over 2, and the right side is negative 13 over 2. So for this question, you have to make sure that there's no more vertical bars here. Take it out of the vertical bars before you compare it to the right side. So if this is positive, the value of this absolute is also positive, and on the right side is still negative. Are these two equal? No, they're not equal because they have this different signs. So this x value is also not acceptable. Since both answers are rejected, so what will be our answer? For this question, the answer is, okay, there's no solution for this question. Next, 3b. Look at the pattern of the question. Do we have to check? We have these absolute signs both on the left and right, so you don't have to check. You can check, but it's not necessary. Right, so how to solve this question? It's the same as the other one. You have to separate into two equations, and remember putting the negative sign right in front of everything on the right hand side, right, or in the middle. Expand your bracket first. Okay, the answer of the x will be the same as the one that we have found in example 2a, example 2b. Also the same for the other equation. Okay, so these are the answers for 3b. Sample 4a, there's only one absolute value on the left side, and then there's no absolute value on the right side. We can use the definition that we have been using to solve this question. Don't worry about the quadratic expression inside. Just copy for the first equation, just copy it down, and for the second equation, write a negative sign on the right side and write O in the middle. Since negative 0 is just 0, you get the same equation both on the left and right. That means you are going to get the same answer. How to factorize x squared minus 25? We can bring 25 to the right, and then to remove square, we just have to square root both sides, because when square root meets square, the square disappears. Now when you put a square root in front of a number, make sure there's a positive and negative value in front of the surd. Okay, so since square root of 25 is equal to 5, the answer is positive negative 5. Same for this one. But I want to show you a different method besides putting a square root on both sides. Is you can also press your calculator. When you press your calculator, you will get negative 5 and positive 5. Write it in terms of this factorization, and then your answers are negative 5 and positive 5. Just write your final answer as x equal to negative 5 or x equal to 5. Example 4b. Remember, the first step is to separate these equations. Copy everything exactly the same, and then write a negative value right in front of the right hand side expression, and then solve. This is a quadratic equation. You get two quadratic equations, then just press your calculator. But for your first equation, you cannot press your calculator because the value that you get, it will be in terms of decimals. So a proper way in writing your answer or factorize this equation is by using the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This is your b, this is your c, and this is your a. Positive negative plus minus. B squared is negative 2 squared minus 4 times a 1, and then c is negative 1, over 2 times the a is 1. You can solve this and you can simplify this further, because you can divide with 2, but remember you cannot just cancel this 2. And this is surd 8. Surd 8 can be simplified. Remember in chapter 1 we have learned how to simplify surds. And to simplify this, you can just separate 8 to be 4 times 2. And square of 4 is equal to 2. Now you can cancel off these 2's. But remember, to cancel them off, you have to factorize the 2 first in order for you to cancel it with the denominator, or divide with the denominator. Okay, for the next equation, you can just press this on your calculator, and what you get is one value, which is 1. But please don't write just one factor, because for quadratic equation, quadratic means you are going to have 2 values of x. So the other value of x would be the same value, which is 1. You can write like this, or you can also write x minus 1 bracket squared. They are the same thing. So your final answer is x equal to 1. Okay, do we have to check for this question? This is the same pattern as example 1. We don't have to check this pattern, because even though there's absolute value, there's only one side with absolute value, but the right side, there's no x. So this type of question we don't have to check. The final answer would be 1 plus minus 2, or 1. Please try out these exercises. Thank you.